Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating concept, how releasing our need for absolute control can actually bring us profound inner peace. Have you ever felt like you're just constantly swimming upstream, like no matter how hard you paddle, life just keeps pushing back, leaving you totally exhausted? Well, we are going to explore a massive paradigm shift that suggests we might be doing it all wrong. The secret to happiness isn't gripping the steering wheel tighter, it's actually learning how to let go.
Okay, let's jump right in by asking a huge foundational question to get to the absolute root of our struggles. Why does life become so difficult? We almost always assume life is hard simply because bad things happen, right? Or because we hit these unavoidable roadblocks. But what if we look inward for a second? What if a lot of that difficulty is actually coming from our own daily habits and our internal reactions to the world?
Let's look at Section 1, the burden of control, or the root of our suffering.
To figure out why life gets so hard, we kind of have to hold up a mirror to our own behavior. The text points out that difficulty doesn't just pop up when things go wrong, it actually comes from our constant resistance to reality. Life gets difficult because we try to control what is completely beyond our control. It's a huge shift in perspective. Just think about your average day. How much of your frustration comes from trying to micromanage situations or even people that you have absolutely zero power over? That illusion of control is exactly what's draining all your energy.
And here is the real kicker. When we try to force outcomes rather than letting events just unfold in their own time, we are literally manufacturing our own suffering. We think we're fixing things by pushing harder, but really, we're just driving ourselves straight into burnout. Forcing outcomes creates unnecessary stress, disappointment, and suffering. The pain isn't necessarily coming from the event itself, it's coming from our relentless resistance to how that event is naturally playing out.
Moving right along to Section 2, Acceptance is not weakness and redefining surrender.
So what's the actual solution here? Well, it requires us to completely change how we view surrender. What's super interesting about this source is how it redefines acceptance. It pulls it way back from this idea of just giving up and frames it instead as an act of profound wisdom. In a culture that is constantly screaming at us to just hustle harder, this is such a refreshing counter-narrative. Acceptance is simply recognizing the difference between what we can change and what we cannot. Knowing when to stop pushing isn't failure, guys. It is a highly advanced cognitive skill.
The text breaks this down into a really simple, logical progression. Step 1. Give your best effort where actions matter. Notice it doesn't say just sit on the couch and do nothing. You still put in the hard work. But then you have to transition to Step 2, which is trusting the process. And finally, Step 3, allowing life to unfold naturally. It is all about doing your part to the best of your ability and then gracefully stepping out of the driver's seat.
That brings us to Section 3, letting go of relationships, the illusion of forcing.
Now, this philosophical approach isn't just some abstract theory. It applies directly to one of the hardest things we do as humans, navigating relationships. The text reminds us that love and respect absolutely cannot be maintained through pressure or fear. If someone wants to leave, trying to force them to stay causes way more pain than peace. When we feel a relationship slipping, our immediate gut instinct is to hold on tighter, right? But genuine relationships are built on freedom, trust, and mutual choice. Applying pressure actually destroys the very foundation a real relationship needs to survive.
And this quote brilliantly illustrates the paradigm shift the author is making. Releasing our grip on other people isn't a defeat. Actually, it's a courageous way of honoring our own boundaries. Sometimes, letting go is an act of courage and self-respect. It takes immense bravery to look at a highly emotional, charged situation, realize you cannot control the other person, and choose to respect yourself enough to just walk away. It totally reframes the end of a relationship from a sad story of abandonment into an incredible story of self-empowerment.
Okay, let's look at Section 4, reframing loss and endings, and making space for the new.
Releasing our attachments to specific outcomes creates this incredible, wide-open space in our lives. When we stop resisting reality, the benefits hit you almost immediately. The anxiety fades away, leaving you with a calmer mind and a significantly lighter heart. Your decisions become wiser because they aren't being clouded by panic or desperation. And most importantly, you get to take all that wasted energy you were using to control the uncontrollable and you reinvest it completely into your own personal growth. It's a total game changer.
This visual perfectly captures the required mindset shift. You have to transform an ending into a new beginning. On the left, we've got the default human reaction to loss. Why is this happening to me? It's a very passive, helpless state of mind. But over on the right,
We have this empowered reframing. What is this experience teaching me? Every single loss carries a valuable lesson. By just slightly shifting your internal question, you stop being a victim of circumstance and you become a student of life.
Which leads us to our final part, Section 5, Trusting the Natural Flow, the River's Journey.
We've explored the heavy burden of control and the real pain that comes from forcing outcomes. Ultimately, lasting happiness follows a calm, accepting mind that just refuses to struggle against the current. Let's review these final key takeaways from the text. Accept what you cannot control. Never force people or situations. Focus on your own growth. And trust that life unfolds at exactly the right time. This is effectively a blueprint for stripping away all the unnecessary friction in your day-to-day routine. We really don't have to manage the timeline of the universe. We just have to manage ourselves.
I want to end this explainer with an incredibly powerful metaphor from the source material. The river never struggles to reach the ocean. It simply keeps flowing. Likewise, peace comes when we stop forcing life and start trusting its natural course. Just let that beautiful imagery sink in for a second. The river isn't trying to control the riverbanks, and it isn't trying to force the boulders out of its way. It just flows right around them, leaving you to ask yourself, where in your own life are you currently exhausting yourself by fighting the current, instead of simply allowing yourself to flow?